Hello team, I hope you're all well. Today I am here to do my April wrap up. I'm going to try and make this as rapid fire as I can while giving you some explanations, but every single book that I read in April was featured in a video in one way or another. So there will be full thoughts in all of those videos if you wanted to check them out. I will link all my April videos in the description box down below. But very quickly, just to go through some stats. Every single April for the last 4 years, I think it's been, I do 30 books in 30 days. And I've completed it again this year. I actually can't believe it. And some of the books in here are not small books as well. Last year, I was away for 2 weeks of April and I ended up doing about 6 novels. And then I did 24 manga in 24 hours. I did it as an actual 24-hour timer challenge. Whereas this year, I do have some shorter reads in here, but not as many. And I focused on some more lengthier novels and I had a really good time. Overall, I had a pretty good reading month. It's been obviously my most books read, but also my most pages read as well. So I did manage to complete 30 books in 30 days. So I did read 30 books in the month of April. I DNF'd 4. And I read a total of 8,911 pages. So close to it being 9,000 pages, but 8,911 pages. And I did listen to a total of 157 hours and 25 minutes. So yeah, overall pretty good reading month. I had a lot of 4 and 4.5 star reads. I did have a couple of 5-star reads. A good chunk of those were from books that are already part of series, so not surprising, but I did find a couple of new favourite reads. And then I did have a handful of 3 stars, a 2-star, and also a 1-star as well. So I did very much so. I was very much across the board. This month there was quite the mix for sure. So without further ado, let's go through the list because I am itching to tell you all about it so I can get some of these books back on the shelves or into my unhaul pile so I can do my ins and outs for April as well. So we started the month off with The Bodyguard by Catherine Center, which was a book that was picked for me by a patron that was put in my pot. The book was picked for me by Kate. So thank you, Kate, for putting this on my radar, and thank you to Claire as well for actually getting this for me because it was gifted to me by Claire. I really liked this one. I ended up giving it 3.5 stars. I thought it was really good. I really enjoyed the bodyguard aspect of it. He is a famous actor, she is the bodyguard, and they end up having to go back to his family ranch because his mum's not well and he wants to help out, and they're kind of like, they've come up with this cover story because he doesn't want his family to worry as to why he needs a bodyguard because he's got a stalker. They've come up with a cover story that she's his girlfriend. So it's fake dating. And it was really good. I really enjoyed it. Didn't do anything too special. I had a good, fun, silly time with it. And that's all I wanted from it. So thank you again to Claire for gifting me this one and to Kate for putting it on my radar. Next, I did move on to The Girl from the Other Side, volume 4. This is the omnibus of volumes 4, 5 and 6. So I moved on to volume 4 of this one and I did give this one 4 stars. I really enjoy this. It follows this, I don't even know what to call him. She calls him teacher, that's it, and he looks a little bit like a monster, but there's basically been this disease that there's been an outbreak of this viral infection, and people that are touched by people like him end up looking like him in the end and then quite quickly dying off. She, however, for some reason has found herself on the other side with him, so not on the safe side but on the other side with him, and now she lives with him. But it would appear there's more to it than what's going on. But it's just really sweet, and I really enjoy this manga. It is getting darker. The further in you go, the darker it gets. But I'm really enjoying it, and I did give this volume 4 stars. We will end up coming back to this one in a second. Then I moved on to Girl 11 by Amy Suter Clark. I've had this on my shelves for so freaking long. It's been ages. So it's about time that I got to this one, and I really did enjoy it. I ended up giving this one 4.5 stars. It does have a podcast element to it. The audiobook was very, very good, and I really enjoyed myself with this one. It is following a woman. There was a countdown killer 20 years ago, and it would appear that there's either a copycat or he's back again, and it's following this woman, this podcaster, who's been kind of obsessed with trying to solve this mystery and figure out who it is, and then things get a little bit more sinister, and she's trying to figure out what is going on, and it was really, really good. I would recommend the audiobook because, again, it's got the podcast elements to it, it's got interviews, things like that. It's a very good audiobook, so I would recommend. Then I did move on to Wild Eyes by Elsie Silver. I really, really enjoyed this one. I gave it 4.5 stars. I do think I'm still thinking about this one though since then, so maybe it should be a 5. But this was just so much fun. Teddy Hamilton does the voice for Wes, and I just immediately was laughing my head off. From the first line of this book, I was laughing my head off. It was so funny. We're following Weston, and we're also following Skylar Stone. Skylar is a singer, and she has ended up coming to the town of Rose Hill because, is it Trav, whoever the first guy is, has like a recording studio there, and she just wants some time away from the cameras and stuff like that to relax and kind of rethink her situation. So she ends up going to Rose Hill. She's like got to deal with him that she'll do some recording, try and make a new album on her own away from her manager and stuff, and she ends up on Weston's land, staying there. And yeah, it's a single dad romance, and I just loved it. It was so much fun, and the kids in this were hilarious. I loved this. 4.5 stars, very fun. Then I did read The Girl from the Other Side volume 5, which I did give 4 stars. Didn't enjoy it as much as volume 4, but I still enjoyed it nonetheless. Then I did read Tell Me It's Wrong by Katie Wismer. This is the second one in this series, the Sweet Spy series. The first one is Tell Me It's Right, and I enjoyed this one. We've got a single mother in this one, and she has recently gotten a divorce from the guy that she was... her husband, she's got a divorce from him, and he was an incredibly rich man in this small town. He owns a lot of the property. She is the stepmother of the guy from book 1. And her son decide to move out, go at it on their own, blah, blah, blah. And she ends up coming across this guy who is 23 years old. He's much younger than she is. I think she's 32, if I remember correctly. I think there's like 9 years between them or something. And I've forgotten his name, Fletcher. And she ends up coming across him in a bar one night, and slowly but surely they start dating. They become friends first, but it's quite a slow burn, and he helps her out and things like that. And it's just so sweet, and I really enjoyed myself. Don't think I love this as much as the first one, because I really did enjoy the first one, but I did still give this one 4.5 stars. And thank you to Katie for allowing me to read an arc of this, because I really had a very good time. Next, I read Out on a Limb by Hannah Bonham Young. This is my first book from Hannah, and I do have many more on my shelves. This one, it was for a 2024 release, and last year it was put in my Patreon pot from Tracy, so I should have got to it by now, but I've done it now. Thanks, Tracy. I really enjoyed this one. I gave it 4.5 stars. This one is following Win and also Bo, and both of them have a limb difference, but they basically meet at a party one night, and they have a one-night stand, which results in a pregnancy. And basically it's them coming to terms with this. He wants to be there for her in whatever capacity she will allow him, and they become friends, get to know each other, and then something more grows between them. And it was just such an incredible story. I really enjoyed this. I had a lot of fun with it, and at the same time there were moments, in just really sweet moments in this, but moments of complete clarity in this as well, for a woman who is terrified of becoming a single mother, a woman who's terrified of becoming a single mother with a limb difference. Will she be able to do all of the things that mums are usually able to do? And it was just such a beautiful, sweet story, and I really enjoyed it. Very excited to continue on with more from Hannah. I read 84 Charing Cross Road by Helen Hanff. I did do this on audio on Spotify, and then I got myself this copy because I wanted a trophy for my shelves. What I didn't realise, and I should have done really, because this is way too many pages for how long the audiobook was, but what I didn't realise is that partway through this book, there is a second book called The Duchess of Bloomsbury Street, and I didn't know that this was a thing. It's continuing on. So I need to read this one as well now. But yeah, A delightful sequel, The Duchess of Bloomsbury Street, is an unlikely love story filled with charm and humour. Very cute. So I do need to continue on with this one, but I did only read 84 Charing Cross Road for this one, and I gave it 4 stars. It was very, very good. It's basically about Helen, and back in the 1940s, she starts sending letters to a bookshop in London. She's in New York. She starts sending letters to a bookshop in London requesting books, and she ends up, like, over the course of many years, I think the epilogue ends at 1969, so over 20 years, she makes friends with the bookstore owner, she makes friends with the people that work at the bookstore, she will send them packages and things like that. And I think this is during the time of, like, war and stuff as well, so it's just such a beautiful story. And eventually she does end up visiting the shop, and it's just an incredible story. The movie is so good. I would recommend the movie. I have already seen it before I've read this, which is how I knew I wanted to read this. But yeah, I did read this one for my classic and also my non-fiction for the month, and I gave it 4 stars. Next, I did read Enchantra by Kaylee Smith. I really enjoyed this one. I loved Vivi in the first book, Phantasma, and I'm so glad that we got her story with this one. Enchantra is a very similar thing to, like, Phantasma, but I didn't think this one was as atmospheric is the word I'm looking for, not horrifying, atmospheric. Phantasma was very, very atmospheric on the horror side of things. It's very much so a horror romantasy, and I loved that. I loved that it crossed so many different genres, not just the fantasy element and the romance element, but there was a horror element to it as well. The atmosphere in Phantasma was incredible, and in this one it was still very good, but I didn't find it as atmospheric. I also didn't find Vivi as sassy as she was. She is still sassy in this, but I feel like she was more sassy in the ever so slight tiny clips that we got to see her in Phantasma. So she wasn't as sassy in this one. I think I actually liked her more in Phantasma, which is really bizarre, but nonetheless I still really enjoyed this one, and I gave it 4.5 stars. It was fantastic. I did on that basis enjoy Phantasma more, but I still loved this one. It was very, very good, and I had an incredible time with it, and I'm so glad that I've got to it so quickly as well. I then moved on to The Girl from the Other Side at volume 6, wrapping up this omnibus, which I did give 4 stars. Really enjoyed it, excited to continue on with the series. I then moved on to volume 7 of A Business Proposal. I love this series so much. It basically starts off with Harry being asked by her best friend to go on this date that's been set up for her as, like, undercover, and basically ruin the date because her friend is sick to death of being set up on these dates by her dad. So when she goes, it turns out that it's Taemu Kang, who is her CEO at work, but she's all dressed up, so he doesn't recognise her, and she makes this big scene at this date. What she doesn't know is that Taemu has made the promise that he will marry whoever's on that date. It doesn't matter who it is, he will marry them, because he's also getting it in the neck from his grandfather to marry. He works too hard. So he then starts to pursue her, not realising that she's actually one of his staff members, and the story goes from there. That's all in volume 1. The story just goes from there. I love the TV series for this as well, and I'm so excited, in the hopes that they will do more actually, but I'm so excited if they do. But I loved this. I gave it 4 stars. It was very, very good, and I had a very good time with it. I think it was around this point, I haven't got it actually on my tracker, and I should have, but I think it was around this point that I did pick up Slaying the Vampire Conqueror, or it might have been earlier in the month, but I might as well mention it here, by Carissa Broadbent. This is one of the books that I ended up DNFing. I know, hear me out. Listen, I don't have a perfect relationship with Carissa Broadbent. This isn't the first book I've DNF'd from her. So this is part of, it's a standalone in the Crowns of Nyaxia world. So my thought process was that I would love this. However, it was giving Daughter of No World vibes, and I DNF'd that one. I didn't like that one. I know it's very popular, so I know this is an unpopular opinion. And I made it to page 105, and I just did not care. I didn't care for what was going on in this at all. I can't even tell you what was going on because I just didn't care enough. She was commanded to kill him with a single strike to the heart. She didn't expect her own to betray her. I don't really know much more else than that. I I think it was the writing style. I just couldn't figure it out. And it was the writing style, I think, in Daughter of No Worlds for me as well. It's almost like it was written by a different author than the Crowns of Nyaxia series. Like, I loved Serpent and the Wings of Night and Ashes and the Darkest King, and I did really enjoy Songbird of Heart and Stone. I didn't love it as much as the first duology, but I loved the first duology, and I absolutely adored Six Scorched Roses. That novella, stunning, amazing. And I was so excited to go into this, and it just didn't click for me. I just didn't enjoy it. So unfortunately, I did DNF this one. It is a huge shame. I was sent this by the publisher. So thank you to Pan Macmillan for sending me this one. I truly appreciate it, and Book Break, because I was on the tour for this one, the Instagram tour, so I did email them to let them know there was DNF in it. I did still do an Instagram post for it, because I do still think that people will really enjoy this one especially if you've enjoyed Daughter of No Worlds, despite the fact that it's set in the Crowns of Nyaxia world. But it's very popular, and I know a lot of people enjoy it. I'm just one of the odd ones that didn't, unfortunately. So I would still recommend checking it out, potentially. I think you could really enjoy it. It's me that's the problem, not the book. Fairly sure that that's the case. So yeah, unfortunately, I did DNF this one. Okay, continuing on with the books that I did read, I then moved on to She Followed the Moon Back to Herself by Amanda Lovelace. This was one of the books that I picked up in Manchester when I went book shopping with Jade in one of my vlogs, and I decided to read it when I got home. Because I've been wanting to read it for a while. I was just waiting to get a copy. So I did end up giving this one 3.5 stars. It's not one of my favourite poetry collections from Amanda, but I enjoyed it nonetheless. I really do enjoy her Princess series. That one's a really good one. And the original series that she did as well. I do like Amanda Lovelace's collections, and they're just so pretty inside as well. Like, how stunning is that? So 3.5 stars for this one. It was a nice quick read though. I then also picked up another read that I picked up during that shopping trip, and I did pick up A Business Proposal Volume 8 because I just wanted to continue on with the series. I have Volume 9 pre-ordered and also Volume 10, which are coming out later on this year. So I'm very excited to continue on with the series. I gave this one 5 stars. I don't know if you can see the cover, but I gave it 5 stars. Things were happening in this one, and I loved it. It was so much fun. Had a very good time. At this point, I moved on to The Girl from the Other Side at Volume 7. You can tell that Jade was around at this point in time, because I clearly didn't pick up Slaying the Vampire Conqueror at this point. It was before that point, regardless that I've told you about it now. It doesn't matter when I picked it up. But it was at this point that Jade was around. I was picking up shorter, snappier reads to get through while she was here. But Volume 7 I did pick up. I gave it 4 stars. I had a very good time with it. And I'm excited to continue on with this series. That's the point at which I stopped during the month of April. So I will be continuing on with this series. I do have the last omnibus as well, which is Omnibus 4, with the last 3 volumes. So I've got 2 more in here, 3 in there, 5 left. So looking forward to continuing on with this series. I then at this point did Keep It or Yeet It, episode 4, which slowed me right down. Truly slowed me down, because I was not having a great time with my reads with this, and it really did slow me down. It was during this week that I actually started to fall behind on 30 books in 30 days. I got myself ahead by a book or 2, and then I started to fall behind. So we started off with A Curse of Blood and Wolves by Melissa McTernan. Jade was still... It was the day before Jade was leaving, and I literally read the first chapter and then DNF'd this. I was going into it pretty sure that I wasn't going to enjoy this. What's really bizarre is that this author is Laurie Gilmore, and I quite enjoyed that series. Like, I loved the Pumpkin Spice Cafe, but didn't love the second one, and on that basis, I've actually kind of stopped. I haven't read the Christmas Tree Farm one yet, or the Strawberry Patch Pancake House, and I'm just a little bit sad because I really loved the Pumpkin Spice Cafe. It was so good. But yeah, it's the same author. Laurie Gilmore is Melissa McTernan. And this one, I mean, for starters, it's got a stalking element in it. She wants to be stalked, like she's turned on by it, but I didn't really care for the synopsis for this. I was picking it up because it's pretty. I was keeping it on my shelves because it was pretty, but that's the only reason. I literally just did not really care for it at all. So I did DNF this one, unfortunately. I don't really have a real reason why, I just didn't really care for the story whatsoever. I did, however, then move on to Heavenly Bodies by Imani Eru. I was so excited about this. This was like, in my mind, a 5-star prediction. I had it super high on a pedestal and I should not have done that. Now, the problem, there were a couple of reasons why I should not have done that. I still gave this 4 stars, so I did enjoy myself. But could I tell you right now what happened in this book? No idea. Not a clue what happened. The minute I stopped reading it, my head was empty, no thoughts. And I'm really sad about that, because I think this had a disadvantage going on in the background. Not only was I in the thralls of 30 books in 30 days, so I was feeling a little bit stressed that I was falling behind. Was not a good time to be picking this up, honestly. But I was also in the middle of reading Silver Elite on my Kindle for the arc that I had by Danny Francis, and literally the only similarity between this and that was the yearning that was going on between the two characters, the two love interests. The yearning was done very, very well in this, and it's also done incredibly well in Silver Elite, which I'll get to later. But I was reading them at the same time. I actually did decide to put Silver Elite down while I was reading this, because it was affecting my reading. Like, every single time I picked this up, I was thinking about Silver Elite, and that's all I wanted to be reading. So I think it has affected my rating a little bit and my enjoyment a little bit of this. And also it's probably affected the fact that I just don't fucking remember anything of it at all. Like, I don't even know what the characters are called. I don't remember anything. Oh, Alara, Prince Lorenzo. I just don't remember. I think when Fallen Stars comes out, I will need to reread this before I pick that one up, because I just cannot remember at all for the life of me what happens in this, which is a huge shame. In the moment, I must have enjoyed it though. I did give it 4 stars, but yeah, it was at a disadvantage, and that is on me and not the book at all. I do think that I would very much so enjoy this the second time round a lot more than the first time, and I do think that I therefore would remember more as well. I will be continuing on with the series. I do have Fallen Stars, the Waterstones edition, pre-ordered, because I have the Waterstones edition of Heavenly Bodies on my shelves. This is the Feralute edition, so yeah. I then decided to read The Luminaries by Susan Dennard. Actually, what I decided to do was pick up The God and the Gummy Home, and I was struggling. So then I was trying anything else. And I got 50 pages into this one, did not like it in the slightest. It was the writing style for me, just didn't work for me at all. That was literally it, just the writing style that didn't work for me, which, you know, sometimes writing styles don't work for people. I also was really just actually really pissed off. I know it's a small gripe, but I was really pissed off at this. That's supposed to say Hemlock Falls and there's an E missing on the fucking dust jacket. Really annoying. Why? Just fix the mistake. It's a dust jacket. Anyway, I've DNF'd this one. It can go off my shelves. To be fair, I DNF'd The Truth Witch series by Susan Dennard as well, so it's not really surprising. My first book that I actually picked up for this round was No One Leaves the Castle, but I'd found myself really dragging my heels with it because I wasn't bored, actually. That is not true. I was confused. There was way too much going on with this one. This is an Al Craig Jr. book. It's by Christopher Healy. It's a middle grade. And I did end up DNFing this one about halfway through. There was just way too much going on. The audiobook was done very well, and I think the narrators were doing a great job. But there was, even for my ADHD brain, I could not keep the characters in check. I had no idea what was going on. I didn't know who was who. And I was really, really struggling with it. So I did end up DNFing this one. I didn't particularly, even at the halfway point, I'd only just gotten to a point where the murder mystery had just started happening. That plot had just started happening. And I just didn't really care to find out who it was. I wasn't interested. So I did end up DNFing this one at this point. And then I finally finished The God and the Gummy Hoe by Sophie Kim. I had tried this one when it first came out, and I ended up soft DNFing it, putting it back on my shelves, because my thought process was that I was really going to enjoy this one. I think in the moment, before I picked it up, I was like, I'm going to love this. I know I am. Then I picked it up. I got about 30 pages in, I think, and decided to soft DNF it, because at the time I wasn't having a good time, and also I didn't know how long it was going to be until there was a sequel for it. So I decided to put it down. Then when I picked it up for Keep It or Eat It episode 4, I got to a very similar page count. I was like, the same thing is happening again. I'm not having a good time with this. I'm bored. Anyway, I powered through. I tried the Luminaries, and then I came back to this and I powered through, and I was like, okay, around the 60-page mark, things started picking up and I started really enjoying myself. Yeah, in the end, I actually really enjoyed this one. I was not expecting the ending that I got. It has made me very excited for book 2 in this series. I'm very much so looking forward to it. Do I think that this probably could have left off where it was and been a standalone? Yes. But I'm also really excited that it's a duology and there is going to be a book 2 and it's coming out soon as well. So I've read it at the right time. I will be getting the Feral Loot edition to match this one. And I really enjoyed it. 4 stars. Okay, then I did pick up Cat Gamer Volume 6, which I gave 5 stars. I really enjoyed this. I love this series. It's so cute. We've got our main character who essentially just literally games, eats and sleeps and works. And she always says no to anybody trying to make plans with her, anything like that. So in the first one, the security guard comes in with this kitten in a box and is like, does anybody want to adopt this kitten? I've just found it in the car park. So she, for some unknown reason, says yes, ends up taking the kitten home, and she uses her gaming knowledge to keep this kitten alive. And then she ends up with 2. She gets the kitten a friend. And it's very, very sweet, and I really enjoyed it. So I've given it 5 stars. I really enjoy this series. It's such a nice palate cleanser, and it's just a very sweet series. Then I went on to my Long Live Cowboys vlog, which I had a very good time with, and also a change in my TBR. So I did read Riding the High by Paisley Hope, which is an arc, still an arc. I don't have a finished copy of this book. I don't know if I necessarily see the point. I've tabbed this one up. It looks like if I put it on the shelves, I mean, you can tell it's still an arc, but I just don't know if I see the point in getting a finished copy. I'm not sure. So I did end up reading this one. 5 freaking stars. This is my favourite in the series so far, and I really, really enjoyed myself. I loved Ginger and Cole and their entire story, and on the basis that we've been getting their story in the background, sprinkled in the background of the other 2 books since book 1, I was like on the edge of my seat wanting to read this since the first book. So I knew this was going to be 5 stars while I was reading Holding the Reins. Like, there wasn't even a title for it at that point. So I really love this one. It is fake dating on the basis that these 2 accidentally get married in Vegas. And they are friends to lovers, essentially. And I just adore them, and I had a fantastic time. He's a single dad as well, and it was just great. 5 stars for this one. It was so, so good. My favourite in the series so far. They've all been 5 stars, but my favourite in the series so far. I then at that point was supposed to be reading Off to the Races by Elsie Silver, but very quickly decided to put that back on the shelf and come back to it another time. I didn't enjoy the audiobook, so I will come back to it when I've got time to physically read it, which during this process I didn't, because I was doing 24-hour timer challenge, and I just physically read Riding the High, and it took me like 7 hours. So I wasn't going to be physically reading Off to the Races. So I made the decision to put that back on the shelf. And at that point, I did decide to pick up Swift and Saddled by Lila Sage. So I had this, I did have this one on my shelves, and I haven't loved the first one, Done and Dusted. I think I'm going to do a reread on that one at some point, but I haven't loved it in the series. I think I gave that one 3 stars when I first read it, but I have seen some people since my video was uploaded say that it's the weakest one in the series. So, interesting. But I did end up giving this one 4.5 stars. I enjoyed it. It was very good. It is cowboy romance, and this one is following Ada and also Weston. We've got another Weston, and she is a like renovations expert essentially, and she's helping Weston renovate Baby Blue, which is essentially it's like the old family home on the ranch. And before she even meets him as her client, she ends up kissing him one night in a bar, and then she meets him the following day as her client, and ever since that point he then ends up pursuing her, and she's having none of it, and it's great. She ends up with this really tight girl gang group that I just freaking love, and it's at this point then that I become super invested in books 3 and 4, which then prompts me to do what I do with the rest of the video. So I did give this one 4.5 stars. I had a very good time. I then read Bourbon and Lies by Victoria Wilder. I don't own a physical copy of this, but I think I'm going to get one because I'm obsessed with these covers. They're stunning. I'm very excited about picking up book 2 in this one. This is very much so a romantic suspense. It's not a cowboy romance, I would say. So mistakes were made here a little bit, but it is what it is. And I still really enjoyed it. They live on it could be classed as a ranch, but they're not cowboys. It's a distillery. They do bourbon, essentially. And they are a family of 3 brothers. And there is a grandfather. Love a meddling grandparent or parent. And we end up with our female character coming to town. She is under a not official WITSET program, and she's placed on their land, essentially. And there ends up being a romance between her and one of the brothers, and it was really, really good. I really enjoyed it. I think the suspense element to it was very, very good. It had me on the edge of my seat for the majority of the book, and I had just ended up flying through the book on that basis. I mean, I was doing 24-hour time challenge as well, so that helped, but I ended up flying through the book on that basis. It was very, very good. Then I moved on to Lost and Lassoed by Lila Sage, book 3 in the Rebel Blue Ranch series. This one was my favourite. I gave this one 5 stars. It was so good. This one is following Teddy and also Gus. Gus is a single dad, and the mother of his child is the female main character in book 4. And I loved this. It was so, so cute. Teddy and Gus have always had this like hate to love and love to hate relationship. They constantly back and forth with the quite violent banter, if you like. They like truly dislike each other, but in a way that you just know is going to go somewhere else. And in this story, it goes somewhere else. And I really enjoyed this. I had such a good time with it. I just loved seeing them go from not enemies, but, you know, rivals, if you like, to lovers. But also watching Teddy with Riley, his kid, as well, was just so sweet. And watching him with his kid as well. And I just had such a good time with it. I really enjoyed myself. 5 stars with this one, favourite one in the series. And then I wrapped the series up with Wild and Wrangled. I did end up giving this one 4.5 stars, but I feel like I need to knock an entire star off, and it needs to be 3.5. Now, I've had some time to think about it. This one is following Cam and Dusty, and I was really excited about this one as well, especially from book 3, because we didn't have a love interest for Cam until book 3, but we saw a glimmer of it, sprinkle of it in book 3, and I was really fucking excited. And then when it came to it, I felt a little bit disappointed, but in the moment I think I'd enjoyed myself. But now, upon reflection, and I've seen a couple of other reviews for this, and I agree, I'm a little bit disappointed with this. I will say, again, this is another situation a little bit like Enchantra, but it wasn't as much in Enchantra, it was more in this one. In book 3, Lost and Lassoed, we got quite a bit of Teddy's character, because obviously it was not Teddy's character, Cam's character, because obviously she's the mother of Gus's child. They are friends, by the way. So we got quite a bit of her in that book, and she came across as this powerhouse, you know, she's doing incredibly well for herself. She's a lawyer, she's an absolute powerhouse of a woman, she's a single mom, and she's fucking nailing it with everything. Actually, she's engaged, but she, you know, she's just nailing life, and she's doing so well for herself. And then we get to this, and it just seemed like she was, you know, this newborn, helpless little lamb that couldn't do anything without some help from people. And I know things shattered for her at the end of book 3 and the beginning of this book. I understand that. Things fell apart, and maybe she was shattered and struggling, and she was, you know, falling apart, and that is literally what was happening. But she just wasn't this powerhouse anymore. And even by the end of the book, I just didn't feel it come back. And it was almost like 2 different characters. I didn't feel like this was the Cam that we got in book 3. And I know we only saw a sprinkle of her, but it just didn't feel the same. It was really bizarre. And then the romance between her and Dusty, it is a kind of second chance romance, friends to lovers, kind of second chance, but not really. They didn't really get a first time round fully, but there was always something there, and they've always had this spark, but I just didn't love it. It wasn't great, and I do think that this needs to come down to like a 3.5 for me, because upon reflection, didn't really enjoy myself with it. I definitely had it on a pedestal before I picked it up, and it didn't just didn't live up to expectations, unfortunately. So yeah, 3.5 for this one. I think I will change my rating on CawPile. Then I was very fortunate enough to get an early copy of Lore Olympus Volume 8. So the minute it came in, I picked it up. Thank you to Inklaw for sending me this one. I truly appreciate it. I did give this one 4 stars. I enjoyed this. We didn't get as much time with Persephone and Hades in this one because of reasons, but I didn't like the distance. I'm very much so a person that once we have a relationship established, or, you know, we're on the precipice of a relationship being established, don't separate these people, please. I don't like it. Albeit I did like the yearning, you know, the heart, distance does make the heart grow fonder. But overall, I enjoyed this one. I did give it 4 stars. If you don't know what this is, it's a comic it's a comic series that's about, like, for the most part, Hades and Persephone, but it's about, like, the underworld and, you know, the human world and all that shit, and the gods just being absolutely terrible human beings. So it's good. Gave it 4 stars. Then I did read Fragile Sanctuary by Catherine Cowles. Thank you to Evermore for sending me this and also the next 3 in the series. I truly appreciate you. I really enjoyed this one. This was another romantic suspense element, and there was a stalker element to this one as well, which once it kicked in, I was actually so established with the characters at that point that I actually didn't mind too much, and I was okay with it. And I had my suspicions. As it turns out, I wasn't 100% right, but by the time we got closer to it, I had picked up on who it was. So I was okay with that. But I did enjoy this one. This was very, very good. I gave it 4 stars. We're following our main character, who is called Rhodes, and this situation essentially is that in the prologue, she is younger and she's just come back from her first boy-girl party. She's like 16, I think, and her best friend's mum, Fallon's mum, has dropped her off at home. She's having a quick chinwag with her mum, updating her on how the party went, and then she goes to bed, and a fire happens in the night, and then she ends up being kind of like adopted or fostered by Fallon's mum, who does a lot of fostering and adopting, so there's quite a few kids there. Fallon is her child, but she adopts and fosters a lot of kids. Fast forward to the age of 27, and Rhodes is now wanting to renovate her old family home that was set fire to. So she ends up, her brother, foster brother, Shep, ends up bringing his best friend in on the job, Anson, who has got his own trauma going on in the background. And her and Anson end up building up this friendship that turns into something more. And it was really, really good. Like I say, there is a stalker element. Rhodes does have a stalker in this one. But I really enjoyed this one. It was very, very good. Really liked the relationship between the two of them. The end of this, little bit cringe. But overall, I really, really enjoyed it. So I had a very good time and gave it 4 stars. We'll continue on with the series. Obsessed with these covers. Look how stunning they are. Beautiful. Then I did decide to pick up Jackknife by Joe Hill, which was a short story from the short story collection, the Shivers collection, which I'm reading for the Our Fantasy series. And I did give this one 3 stars. It was good. Very atmospheric. Really enjoyed it. It was about a tree. Very bizarre. It's about this man coming across this tree that has a jackknife in it, and he decides to take the jackknife out despite the warning on the tree not to remove the jackknife. Decides to take the jackknife out, and then weird shit starts happening around town. The tree's moving, it's eating cats, and it's really fucking bizarre. Very bizarre. Very atmospheric. 3 stars I gave for this one. Then I did read The Rainfall Market, which was my translated fic for the month, my translated fiction pick for the month. And I should have read this one back in February, actually, for Buzzwordathon, but I didn't. So I've read it now. I ended up giving this one 2.5 stars. I couldn't get my head around what the age range is actually supposed to be for this. Goodreads says it's adult. It reads like a middle grade. It's got Alice in Wonderland vibes, like it's insane. And I just didn't enjoy it. I didn't gel with this one at all. I didn't really have a very good time with it whatsoever. So I did end up giving this one 2.5 stars, unfortunately. It is what it is. I've read it now. I'm not going to get on with all of the translated fictions I pick up. It's not, you know, I DNF'd before the coffee gets cold, so, which I'm still sad about, but 2.5 for this one. Then I went entirely off-piste, and this is totally Chloe's fault. I was supposed to be picking up a Kennedy Ryan at this point. I ended up picking up Magnolia Parks by Jessa Hastings. This was insane. It was absolutely insane. This is super toxic and very elitist of a London socialite lifestyle. It was fucking insane, and I gave it 4.5 stars. It was really good. I think there might be drugs in this book. Well, there is, but I think, you know, for the reader as well. I really enjoyed myself with this. It was very, very messy. I immediately wanted to pick up Daisy Hates, but I haven't been able to do so because I needed to finish off 30 books in 30 days, and there were other things that I was prioritising. But I do soon want to pick up Daisy Hates so I can continue on with this series. This is so fucking messy. Very, very messy. Very, very toxic. So much fun. I just don't know how to explain it. Like, if I saw this relationship in real life, I would want absolutely fuck all to do with it. I would be like, listen, keep me out of your drama. Don't come near me. I don't want any of you in my life, because there is just no need for this shit. But reading it, give me all the drama. It was great. I gave it 4.5 stars. I then, at this point, after 23 days, finally finished Silver Elite by Danny Francis. I started it at the beginning of the month. I finished it at the end. It didn't need to take me 23 days to read this book, honestly. That is on me. I wasn't well, I had to keep putting it down. I put it down because I was reading Enchantra that had like the trials in it, etc., which this has got like, not trials per se, it has actually, it's got trials in it a little bit. And then I put it down again because of Heavenly Bodies, you know, because of the yearning thing. So I did keep putting it down and sacrificing this one because it didn't come out until the beginning of May for other books that I was reading in that moment. But it did not affect my rating or my enjoyment of this book. I absolutely loved it. It was so good. The world building, the characters, the character arcs that we've got, the kind of like magic system that we've got in this one. I just loved it. That atmosphere, everything. It was so good. There were a couple of reveals towards the end. I predicted both of them, but did not spoil my enjoyment. I'm so intrigued to see where this goes next, and I kind of wish I could get book 2 immediately. Obviously I can't. This isn't even released at the point of me filming this, and this is book 1. So, you know, only downside to reading an arc in a series, the first arc in it, the only downside to reading the first book in a series as an arc is that you know now that you're going to have to wait over 12 months for the next one. Probably. So yeah, this one was so good. I loved Ren and Cross, who are our love interest and main characters. I loved the way that their story went. I am not overly thrilled with how the end of this happened, not in a sense that I didn't like it, in a sense that I didn't want it to end that way. And now I don't know what happens next. And we collectively, myself and Ren, and probably you, the reader, have no idea who to trust from here on out. And I'm concerned, quite frankly. I will end up rereading this via audio right before the second one comes out, I think. I don't know if this is going to be a trilogy or a duology or more. I'm not sure. But yeah, it's a dystopian romance. If you're a fan of Fourth Wing or The Hunger Games or even Divergent, I think it gave some Divergent vibes as well. I think you're going to love this. It was fantastic, and I gave it 5 stars. It was so good. It was my second favourite book of the month, actually. Riding the High was my first, but my second favourite book of the month. And then, the last 2 books that I read for the month. I read Coming Home by Kennedy Ryan, because I still had a Kennedy Ryan prompt to complete, and I actually completed all my prompts for the month, which I never do. I completed all of my reading prompts. Look at me go. She can complete a TBR when she wants to. She will fuck around with it though. I completed them regardless. I did read Coming Home by Kennedy Ryan. It is a audio book, solely audiobook on Audible, and it was fun. It was like 2.5 hours, if that. It was fun. I do think this would work better as a novel. We didn't get the usual angst that we get from Kennedy Ryan. I wasn't 100% invested in the relationship, but regardless, I still had a fun time, and I did give it 3.5 stars. And then the last book that I did read, I'm so fucking mad that this was my last book. I should have read it before coming home, in all honesty. But I'm really mad that this is my last book because I gave it 1 star. 1 star. And it was The Indigo Room by Stephen Graham Jones. It's book 2 in the Shivers collection, the novellas that I'm reading, the short stories that I'm reading for that collection. 1 star. It just didn't make any fucking sense. It was stupid. And the ending was super abrupt, same as Jackknife, but worse. The ending was super abrupt. There was no, it didn't wrap up nicely or anything, you know. There was no, I didn't want an extended version. Actually, I did want an extended version because I wanted some explanation, but that's the only reason. I didn't want an extended version because I enjoyed myself. Like Jackknife, I would have loved an extended version of that. Whereas this, I only want the extended version to know what the fuck is going on. I don't care otherwise. It didn't make sense, and I didn't like it at all. Probably going to be the weakest one in the collection, I've no doubt. But yeah, I should have known better. Don't get on with Stephen Graham Jones, very much so like Paul Tremblay. So these are 2 horror authors now that I probably will never go back to again. But yeah, it is what it is. I did finish 30 books in 30 days on a 1-star read. God damn, I should have picked up a manga instead. But regardless, I finished 30 books in 30 days, and that's all that matters. If you wanted to see the board, this is what my 30 books in 30 days board looked like. I'm pretty proud of myself, I've got to be honest, because like I say, a lot of these weren't short. I mean, Silver Elite, for example, is over 500 pages. I'm fairly certain Heavenly Bodies is well over 400 pages. I know that Magnolia Parks is just over 400 pages. So there's a lot of these that are between like 300 and 400 pages. Some that are over, some that are just under. And then there is the odd, novella or manga or whatever. I mean, Lore Olympus, even that's like 300 pages. And I know it's a manga, graphic novel, but still 416 pages, Lore Olympus. So yeah, I had a great time though. A Heavenly Bodies, 515 pages. It's over 500. So I read 2 books that were over 500 pages. Wild Eyes was 446. I had a great reading month. I managed to do my 30 books in 30 days challenge, managed to read lots and lots of pages, managed to read some really good books as well. There were ups and downs. There's always going to be ups and downs. I think it would be weird if I did 30 books in 30 days and didn't get at least, 3 different ratings. I managed to get all 5 plus DNFs. So yeah, very happy with how that went. I hope you have enjoyed this video. Chat to me in the comments down below. Have you read any of these? On the basis of what I've enjoyed or not enjoyed, what would you recommend me anything? Let me know in the comments down below. I hope you have enjoyed, and I will see you in whatever comes next. Bye for now.